So hi everybody. So this is I'm going to try to get a good angle here. So great to see your fantastic, amazing face. So this is Jayson James. Jayson, do you want to introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about yourself? I just kind of started talking about how you're a longtime Anytown volunteer and like go way back, but would love to for you to share a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Jason. And as Master was saying, have been part of the community Tampa Bay family for what 21 years now. I went to Anytown back in 1999 and have been volunteering in some way, shape, or form ever since, and it's an integral part of my life. And in many ways has helped lead to how I'm living my life today. And I am a organizer in St. Pete, community organizer and electoral organizer, who's working towards achieving full equality for everyone. And, yeah.
Doing the things, doing the things.
Yes.
So I think you could. There's a lot that obviously you're summarizing. A lot that you're leaving out in terms of just to kind of to hype you up a little bit for folks. One of the most knowledgeable, like I don't know, it's a, like eidetic memory or something like that. Like it's just like great encyclopedic memory. Lots of perspective, knowledge, and so definitely an amazing human being. Um, but so glad to have you on for creating space. And I think what what I think what I would love for us to have as a conversation for, and I think we want to have you back potentially again because you have a lot of knowledge and experience talking about a lot of different things. But kind of to start us off with this, um, uh, I was having a conversation with Seth before about on creating space, and I think like coming from a standpoint of like media, um, but I think like one of the things for that comes to mind for you is um, exactly kind of like I think we had done like a bio for you on Community Tampa Bay website
Hmm.
highlighting volunteers, and like one of the quotes
Hmm.
that kind of stuck out to me is like, you know, I'm just me, like I'm just trying to
Yeah.
be, you know, and like so I think in thinking of our conversation today being around being authentically ourselves and being authentically you as an act of resistance and existence as resistance. And kind of wanted to start off with that and ask, um, in what ways for you, when you think of that, in what ways for you is existence an act of resistance?
Oh, in so many ways. So I'm a Black queer trans person, and um, pretty much have to, in many ways, I can just say, battle in every aspect of my life. Existing as a dark-skinned Black person and experiencing the world, how people see dark-skinned people, and experiencing the different levels of racism and discrimination due to my being dark-skinned. Having people not believe in Black folk intelligence because of some racist, mm, I guess say misguided, uh, um, archaic views of Black intelligence, and people being surprised that, one, if I choose to, can, I guess you say, speak eloquently, um, and like the fact that I have a lot of knowledge, um, existence, and living my full self, like um, being queer, being trans non-binary, being androgynous femme, you know, going about my day, people trying to determine what am I, who am I, um, I guess you could say pushing up people's boundaries or expectations
Mm,
of what they expect, someone to be. Um, so yeah, existence is definitely a part of existence. Um, the I guess they battling the fear that society places on us as queer and trans folk, um, because of yeah, what what's that just said? They tried to bury us, and they didn't know we were seeds. Like battling what the society expects of queer and trans folk to not exist, but I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going nowhere, and I I have just as much right to live as my full authentic self as any other human being, and believe that we all should live our full selves.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing love in the chat. So I feel like one of the things, you're talking about with there is so much pushback that you're
Hmm.
getting just for in terms of existence, right? And so
Hmm.
what what has been your process or your journey in um being able to push back against the pushback in a sense, I guess, like to yeah, there's that's a lot, there's a lot to take on and to there's and there's a whole conversation that we could have also about like the narratives around expectations around like being strong and like the kind of glorification of being
Hmm.
strong despite you know this and that and
Yeah.
oppression and everything. But for you, like what has been the the ways that you do push back against other people's regressive pushback against your existence?
One is to honestly I guess you say colonize my own self, like work on myself
Mm,
on the views that I definitely held, um, at one point, and like how the societal views have I guess you could say infected myself, and like I had to work or start working that out.
mm,
Um, the heterosexist, transphobic, um, views that I had of myself, point blank.
mm,
Um, and I had to work on myself to to be myself. Um, no, day by day. And I would, as it was for me. It was a process, a long process. I would, overcome one thing and keep working until I could really be myself. Um, like overcoming the fear and the not just fear, what's the word? I guess you could say quote dishonor. That I guess I felt or was being put on me for being queer in the first place, and then being effeminate to being femme. Um, like I had someone told me that you can be gay, but you don't have to be, flamboyant or girly or whatever. And, overcoming that internalized homophobia in that way and transphobia in that way, to be my true self. Um, I remember buying my first article of feminine clothing, was definitely a, a process, a battle for myself.
mm,
And going and putting on these clothes, putting on makeup, like things that people who are assigned male at birth are not so, quote unquote supposed to do in this society. Um, Having way is things that I've been doing and like finding myself beautiful in that.
Mm.
Appreciating my own self worth. Um,
I'm
Taking away the power from people, and that way, like I don't like getting to the point where saying I don't care what people think about that, about how I exist, as a way to fortify myself. So when people say stuff, it doesn't affect me in the same way.
mm,
Building up my fortifying myself is real.
mm.
Um, is real.
I'm seeing in the chat
I'm not gonna listen to this.
that said that said decolonize our own views, root out cis sexism and homophobia,
Exactly.
and I think and I think like that kind of goes super in line with the idea of like that everyone can be part of that process, right? Because it's like all of us have that, like, and I think like that's something that then it's like, okay, like thinking about when people, I think like the one of the things that I immediately think of as folks who use the whole line of like, I have friends who are blank identity, therefore
Yeah.
like of course I don't have these views, and it's like, nah, dude, like folks with the identities, the internalization, there's colonization that has happened, and
Exactly.
so there's like that's something that we all need to definitely prioritize and work on. The powers that be, the internet service providers, don't want us having these conversations. It's a conspiracy, y'all. It's a conspiracy. So I actually wanted to talk a little bit about your own Instagram, actually, because is that true?
This is, I believe so, my first Instagram live.
But you
Yeah.
are super active on Instagram though.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I notice is why I think this theme and topic super resonates is because you are on your Instagram game, and so I wanted to kind of explore a little bit kind of your process for was in relation to what we were just talking about of your kind of assertion of I wanted to ask you beauty was in relation to what we were just talking about of like your that kind of process. I wanted to ask value beauty, like being journey or process has been sort of how your journey or process has been media. I'm like kind of looking at the camera, kind of looking doing both at the same time. And so thinking about the fact that existence as resistance, how you use these different media as well as your own conversations and interactions with folks as a way to do that resistance work in a sense, because I do see you hitting the angles on Instagram. I do see you like I see you. So I kind of wanted you to share it and talk a little bit.
Okay. So I use Instagram mainly as honestly as a self-evaluation tool. Like I don't put stuff on Instagram to don't need to see if other people like it. Like I put it as a way of validating myself to myself. Um, and I use it because like I'm the people. I used to think I was like, I'm not even gonna lie. I used to think I was.
I'm getting from Sam that there's a lot of echo, so I think we do have to actually. I think it was the connection was just going to see if that would help.
I'm knocking the stuff.
But So we're going to try to make sure that the echo is down, but the connection is also not off.
Is this better?
I think so.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Here's some. All right. So I go Instagram as a way of self-reflection of myself. Because I grew up hearing, like, I'm dark skinned. I'm a very dark skinned person, and growing up I got called so many different names about being dark skinned, and it it really made me feel some kind of ways. So, like, going on Instagram, posting pictures is a way of me seeing myself. Let's be real. If you ever notice, whenever I post pictures, the very first hashtag I use in every picture that I post of myself is Black is Beautiful, because it's a way of, like, it's like, wow, I'm getting emotional. Why am I getting emotional? It's because the resistance of being myself, being and seeing myself as beautiful, as pretty, or whatever, despite what our society says is beautiful and pretty. Um, I don't know. It helps with my self worth, and it just makes me feel good. And I, yeah, I don't even know what I was going to say. I'm getting emotional. I'm trying not to.
Okay. We don't have to, in terms of consent and boundaries, we don't have to go deeper, like any further than that. But I feel like that definitely super resonates, and like hits home in terms of that piece of highlighting that aspect of resistance, highlighting that aspect of like, I think it makes me think of a lot of times, even for me, right? Some of my own internalized attitudes or thoughts around certain things or certain paradigms, right? Like, I see in the chat some love. Sets feels feel your feels boo, and one of the things that I think, oh, Set, love you. But this idea that in talking about representation and imagery, there's almost like this sense, oh, like this is superficial, but it's not superficial. Like, there is so much value. I think like that's one of the things, is, sometimes just, like there's almost like a criticism, right? Of like, why post this selfie? And it's like, well, what goes into this that resonates and hits home the fact that like we need to check ourselves in terms of what is going into represent we see that we consume, and how we can see all of this, and give the full weight and value that it deserves.
Yeah, totally.
What are some of the conversations that you've had with folks? Because I think we were talking a little bit earlier about, yes, getting pushback from folks, but then also having conversations with different kinds of folks, like different folks who might be affirming, might be on the same page, and then also time might be like unaware of certain things, and sort of the level of how draining that is, or how much work that goes into educating and sharing with folks.
Yeah, so like I could tell you I definitely have experienced, I guess you say, a lot of the pushback and the work that I do in terms of community organizing. and be open to someone like myself existing, and having to, I use this word a lot, but fight to uh, dang, the words are escaping me. But I've definitely been in the spaces where I've had to basically fight to be recognized that my existence is real. But
Um,
yeah, so like having to like show that my existence is not an opinion, and that I have just as valid of a right to exist, and that the work that we're doing, if we don't include people like myself, it's not real work. Like I guess you could say freedom fighter, whatever, or in in the movement for Black Lives and the queer liberation movement, um and working to make sure that all Black lives are included in this view of liberation. That all queer lives are included in the view. Make sure that I've seen of queer and Black queer lives has been and sometimes disheartening, even from people that I've done work with. Um, but I still, what my motto is just to um, keep moving, keep pushing, because we just have to. I would say that some of the things that some of the conversations, um, well, some of the ways that I have, I guess you could say, combated these uh, not inclusive actions and thoughts and the broader liberation movement. Okay, so basically, Masa was asking how have some ways that I have, oh Lord, have combated the pushback received from people who, I'm a facilitator. I should be how I've combated people pushing back against my existence, against and trans lives, and here use an example of some I'm getting too detailed. Sorry, um, but like I'm just as Black as you, and you know, it's, um, however, sometimes people don't believe in these facts because of other reasons. That's me because I built what's like they see me existing. They see me move over the past decade. So like building these relationships with people and hoping that these relationships would um change or soften their views so they can see me, I guess you could say as fully Black or whatever, and fully include people like me and our quest for full equality, for equality, and living in a society free from all forms of discrimination. And sometimes I've succeeded, that's going to be real, but sometimes I failed. I'm not even gonna say I failed. I didn't fail. Sometimes people just didn't change their views. And it's not okay, but it's okay. That just tells me that some people just ain't here for my existence. And that those are some of the people that I have to organize around or against to get full equality and liberation. For real. Like, I'm gonna be real. There are quite a few Black people, not Black people, change it back. So quite a few people, Black folks that I've talked to in various aspects of the movement who don't believe queerness is Black. Point blank. I'm going to dispel the rumor. Black people are not more homophobic or transphobic than other folk, but there are people and who believe that queerness is a form of colonialization. Quite literally, I've been told that I am colonized because I'm queer, and that queerness is a form of colonialization. That queerness is not African, and like literally having to trying to use facts, trying to use well these various people groups. There's documented evidence of queer people existing and thriving in these various people groups, but they will ignore that because the people who documented those were white folk. So they say, well, that's a white person saying that, so I don't trust that. Well, I practice a faith that has deities who, in some ways, are masculine, in some ways, are feminine. Um, so and in some other ways, are both at the same time, or or queer in other ways. And like I bring this up to people, and it's like I just try to show them that, and I also just be me. And if that doesn't work, I don't know. Like I know what I have the capability of doing. I know what I am putting my energy into doing, and like educating folk who don't want to be open minded, who don't want to see me as a full human being, who it's just not my thing. And I am going to keep it moving, keep organizing to for those folk who do or want to see, who are trying to see, um and organize for all of us to be in a true free society. That's real.
I don't know if can you hear me on your end?
I cannot hear you.
Okay. I don't know if my connection is working or not. I'm gonna pretend that I'm gonna assume that I can, that other people can hear me. But I just want to highlight a couple things in the comments. First of all, speaking truth, Jasmine's like, yes, speak on it, and then Seth says they ignore it because they can't beat a double Virgo on facts. And I'm assuming that
Yes, I am a double Virgo. I'm a Virgo sun sign, a Virgo ascendant, but I have a Gemini moon. So, but yes.
but I think that's I don't know, like what you're saying though. I think it fits into this whole thing of like we need different folks to be supporting and working on different conversations, and like that thing of like some people are not going to be educated by you, and it's like that's not like that's not your burden to carry, you know, like that shouldn't be on you. And I think like that's that piece, right, of like if existence itself is resistance, then there's other folks whose existence is not resistance. It is our responsibility, their responsibility, to then do some other work that does count as resistance, that does support that resistance.
I was saying exactly. I don't know. Can y'all hear what Masa was saying somehow through my phone potentially? Just in case you didn't hear, I'll repeat it a little bit. Um, Masa was basically saying that yes, it's not always going to be up to people who are basically fighting to just exist as resistance to educate folk who are not willing to listen to those folk, and that for those whose existence isn't resistance or face I guess a lighter resistance load to um, educate those folk, and I agree with that.
So I want to wrap up our conversation for today, and then hopefully we can get you back at another point to talk about
Yeah.
some other things, because like I think this is like a good introduction to you as a human, and then at the same time then we can get some depth into Some other conversations that we wanted
Mm-hmm.
to talk about, for sure, is getting into like some respectability politics
Oh, yeah.
conversation. Yes. And then also, in particular, like because of the movement for defending Black lives in particular is front and center on the national stage, but then locally in the Tampa Bay area, we want to also talk a little bit more about policing and prisons,
Mm-hmm.
and just that the system, and kind of giving maybe a little bit of local history and context,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, just want to share with folks. Is it okay if I share about kind of one of your passions in terms of history
Sure.
and
Yeah.
like, or do you want to share?
No, go ahead. Sure.
So literally like genealogy and like just like going super in depth into history, is something that Jayson is boss at. So there's a lot of information that we're looking forward to. Um, as we're wrapping up this conversation, what are some things that you would have as a message for folks for folks to who navigate their existence as resistance, and then for those, so two part, for those who navigate their existence, their own existence as resistance, and then for those who, as you said, might have um, their existence isn't resistance, or it might have a lighter load to carry. What would be sort of some advice for, or recommendations, or ideas for both of these general groups of folks?
Um. Okay. Um. I can say to live. There's this live without fear, even though live with fear, but like without, like, move through your fear, working through your fear, is a big thing. Um. Um. I am. You will never hear me say that I've uh, not have fear around, being a black trans femme, and it's you. I like, one is myself. I am not going to. Uh, I guess you could say, I don't like that. Stay in dysphoria for somebody else's benefit,
Mm-hmm.
but um, wanting it. It's not gonna be real. Live, work. My words. Move as if you did not have fear. It's the best way I can say it. Put on whatever you're wearing. Go out with as much confidence as you can muster that day, and is that's what I'm going to be real. Some days, I well, right now with COVID, I'm in the house pretty much all day, anyways. But before COVID, there were some days where I would literally be in so much fear to leave the house that I've had to find ways to center myself, to stop those words that people have said in the past or what society says, and to open that door and move out. Um, and is is honestly what I do on many days. And yeah, that's just what we have to do sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jayson.
Thank you. Um,
Mm.
as for people who don't have fear to leave the door when they're going out somewhere. But also, we have to find ways to um, unlearn what we have been taught in this world, in this country. Um, Not everyone is a reader, but if you're a reader, read some books. Just gonna be real. If you're, reading is not your thing, there are plenty of YouTube videos out here that goes into how you can unlearn things you've been taught. And treat every person with what dignity and respect. Like for real. For real. Um, that's what I aim to do. Earlier, I said how I lived on my life in many ways because of any town. I truly hold the mission and values of the community Bay in any town to my heart, and they have directly one helped me lead to the level of confidence that I do have about being myself. Um, I just want that for everyone else.
Speaking power right here.
Mhm.
Um, for for the rest of folks out there who are, again, if you were to leave a message for folks who are folks who want to support resistance,
Mhm.
what is one thought that you want to leave with those folks?
Um, hmm. So one, I just want to. There are so many different ways to resist, to be part of the resistance in terms of and not just resisting but organizing
Mm.
to transformative change our society. There are so many different ways. One, not everyone is meant to be on the front line. It is okay if you're not one of those that's out there in the streets, directly protesting what's going on. That's not for everybody. That's fine. But you can um, be not just talking, but like be about it. Talking and with your friends, families, your loved ones, your community about um, changing the system, point blank. Um, there are organizations out here, like Me Town Bay, Anytown, but other organizations that are doing the work that you can join those organizations. You could fund those organizations. You could fund and join and fund and learn. And it's so many different ways to be a part of this. So
Mm.
many different ways.
And so in a sense, like
Mhm.
doing that internal work of figuring out for ourselves, right, of
Mhm.
like what is my role? What is the way that I'm going to be part of that dismantling
Yeah.
and decolonization
Yeah.
in my own mind
Decolonization is,
and
yeah.
out here. Yeah.
Yeah. Decolonization is like all really what we're fighting. So I use the term fight a lot, but that's me. I'm a freedom fighter. For what we're fighting is basically decolonizing this world. People can live as themselves and, learn about the different ways we can decolonize this world and ourselves. Um, if you're in the United States of America, learn about the indigenous people that were on the land that you live on first. Like here in Florida, the original indigenous people, for the most part, were wiped out. But we have indigenous folk. Learn and find, ways that they're open to for it. Learn about it's so much that one can do. It's so much.
Like that is one of the things that I absolutely admire about you is how you very much model being authentically you, and that is exactly what you do, right? That's literally it's like this is the perfect topic. It's existence as resistance. It's like it's perfect. Is there anything? Can you do some quick plugs as we are before we
Yes.
close out in terms of for folks who where can they find you?
Okay. Well, one day you can find me here on Instagram. I am Nubian Queen with the KW. Because we decolonize the English. Nubian Queen Jayson here on Instagram. On Twitter, I am not that active on Twitter, but if you want, I am at JJames3000 on Twitter. Um, and I am a member of the Dream Defenders, so you can find us here at Dream Defenders on Instagram. I'm also a member of Southerners on New Ground, a queer liberation organization. You can find us here on Instagram as well, um, and Twitter. So yeah,
Thank you so much, Jayson. And I'll
you're
definitely
welcome.
look forward to talking with you again, hopefully with even better internet connection. And we'll do that. All right. And then we'll have for this video, for folks who have watched at any point during this video or any of our other creating space videos, we are asking for you to do a survey to give us feedback on these creating spaces. Like things that you learn, your insights. Ashley, our AmeriCorps Vista just put it in the chat. So go ahead and go to that. It'll only take about 2-3 minutes or so. And it helps us out a lot to give us feedback and to continue to inform, critique, and affirm what we are doing. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Jayson.
You're welcome. Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care, y'all.
Bye. You have a good day.